Gambia, our team you will we decide we get you where's my camera? With Kerr. Where's my camera? One of the Gambia's most crucial elections is here. Which one is my camera? Fatou, we got you covered. Our team of credible and knowledgeable analysts will bring you exclusive analysis of the event step by step and ballot. Hello and welcome to the special edition of the Brunch on Kerr Fatou live from the election house, that is the offices of the Independent Electoral Commission, on a day that is very significant in the process of the 2021 presidential elections. We have completed in the last few days the nomination process by some 20 or more aspirants who want to contest the December 4 election. Today is the other part of the process, which is public scrutiny and the announcement of the final list of successful aspirants. We've been here since 3-4 hours now, and the announcement was that the public scrutiny process would have started and ends by midday, which is on just 20 or 25 minutes time. But since we have been here, issues have just emerged which we want the Electoral Commission first to address. One of these is that the media, particularly turn up here with their fully accredited cards, such as mine, but we were told that we need additional requirement of a voter's card. We were not told categorically that even media would need that, media who have been accredited. But the IEC said, the law says that whoever would access those documents for scrutiny will have to be a voter and must show a voter's card, regardless whether you are a media or you are an observer. This means, of course, the 3/4 of the media who have turned up here have not got access to go. Now, those who even have access had only 5 minutes, you heard me well, 5 minutes to scrutinize 20 or more documents. Only 5 minutes. And of course, this means, of course, the media have grossly inadequate time to even make of anything from the candidates. Of course, the media is interested in all the candidates, but the IEC had said, no, if you have a certain candidate in your mind, 5 minutes is enough for you to go there and do your observations. Now, I have people who have been there, but first, we're going straight to the IEC spokesman, Parmakan Khan, who have been very helpful indeed throughout the process, answering questions and bringing clarifications. One clarification you have to make here, Parmakan, is why is it that you said the process will be 4 hours, yet people have only 5 minutes to do or to go over 26 candidates' documents? This is grossly inadequate. Why?
Yes, thank you very much for that question. I'll just begin with talking about the provisions of the law as regards public scrutiny, which says, dictates that the Commission, the IEC, shall set aside a period for public scrutiny, which of course should start from 8 a.m. To 12 p.m. And that's about 4 hours. And during this period, people who are interested to come and participate in this process, that is to scrutinize documents, are registered voters. This is law. So the commission, we always maintain that the commission is not a law-making body, but it's a law-enforcing body. So we're just trying to apply the law to the letter. As required, people who are interested to come and participate in this process should be registered voters. Of course, the media have been accredited and they have rights, to observe the electoral process. This starts from nominations up to when the results are declared. And during this process, the media are allowed, the media can observe or they can report on any of the processes involved. And again, coming to the time, of course, the law provided for the requirements that people have to be registered voters, and a specified time have been given during which this scrutiny can be done. However, as a commission also, looking at the number of people who have turned up to scrutinize, so it was only important that they are given allocated time so that to provide access to every person who have come to the public scrutiny and is interested to scrutinize any of the documents. So in so doing, it became important as a matter of regulation to make sure that people are given some period of time during which they can do this. They are free, they are at liberty to have a look, that is to view any of the documents, any of the nomination papers presented or put on display by the commission. So I think here we're talking about two issues. We're talking about the law and we're also talking about regulation. Of course, the law provides for the management of the whole process, but also we also have a regulation to make it smooth, to make sure that the process, is fully legally compliant, and also the process is also accessible to every Gambian or every registered voter who turns up today at the public scrutiny, to make sure that he or she is given full access to scrutinize any of the documents.
Good. You don't have any trouble with the concerns that journalists who actually need to have access to inform everybody else are equally given only 5 minutes, and it's for those who have voters card. When all the journalists felt that accreditation alone, which has been said, which as you said, should give them access to every aspect of the election. At the scrutiny office, which is critical aspect of the election, they have not been given the chance because they did not, and we are not told that they too need an extra requirement, which is a voter's card.
Well, I have to say that journalists have been given full access to all the processes so far. And also let's take note that to object and also to have an access to the process are two different things. So here we're talking about the objections.
Access is what the journalists want.
People,
they are not going to object. Access is what we want.
People who have turned up for any reason to view the documents are given access to do that. And of course, we have to regulate to make sure that every person is given equal time, just for the purpose of accessibility.
Okay, our journalists,
and then
the
journalists now, the journalists, I would say, are given full access. Like they can observe the process. So they can do this without having to, go over the documents or without, having to.
But the trouble is, they must have voters card in addition to the accreditation, which was not told to them.
Yeah, this is the law, that people who come in to this public scrutiny process have to be registered voters. So I think we just try to follow the law here.
But observers, journalists are just like observers. They have accreditation. So are you saying that an observer that comes from Zimbabwe or South Africa or the Commonwealth or from Nigeria on the ECOWAS will have to produce a voter's card to access the place?
Not at all. I think
so observers cannot access this place.
Right now we have many observers. I'm just talking to
but they cannot access this place.
2 of them from the EU. They are standing there watching what's happening.
No, they were not allowed inside.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They don't need to go inside, to know what's happening.
So they can expect certain aspects of election, but not certain aspects.
Not at all. They have access to observe all aspects of the
Except the
process.
scrutiny, they cannot go there.
I won't agree with that.
They cannot go there.
Because
I was there.
They have access. I just talked to 2 of the observers from the African Union.
Yeah.
And they are out there watching. It's even them who told me that
they could not get
this
enter
process
because they were asked to bring voters card.
What I'm saying is that they don't need to be in there. All the doors are open and they can fully have a view of what's going inside.
Okay, the other aspect I want to ask you, we understand that even if journalists were able to access the information, there is a law which says they cannot publish it without the consent of the candidates. Is that true?
Yeah, very well. Like we're trying to follow the law. The law says the commission have to put it on display for public viewing. Let's take note. Public viewing. So public viewing doesn't give somebody the right to publish. I think these are 2 different things here. That you can view the documents, you can view the nomination papers, but this doesn't necessarily give you right to publish those information or those details. Because, okay, I know recently some politicians or some political leaders have willfully or have willingly
Voluntarily
publish, whatever they would like to publish for public consumption. So here we just try to be careful to make sure that we don't flout the law, because the law says the commission must do a public scrutiny, and in so doing they must put these nomination files for public viewing. So I think these 2 things
are
have
you
to
suggesting that if I come across information, for example, of Dr. Cisse's properties, Adama Barrow's properties, and all a host of other candidates, I come across it as a journalist, I publish it without their consent, I am breaching the law that you are quoting in this?
What I'm saying is that during the public scrutiny,
yeah,
the journalists are not supposed to publish details.
Of what they have
They're not supposed to take photographs. They're not supposed to photocopy any document. They must not remove.
But if they made a mental note of it and information that's accurate, can they go about it?
Any document.
Yeah.
So for now, what we're just trying to make clear is that lies with the candidate. Like this may be public information, but then as at the level of the commission, in terms of nominations, the laws are very clear that the commission must provide access to the general public, and in particular to voters. And whosoever has any issues, can make an objection on any particular issue relating to any of the nomination papers. So I hope this is very clear in the law.
Journalist Yusuf Taylor of the Guyana Group has been there. What has been your experience?
Well, we've had a very difficult experience, but before we talk about that difficult experience, certainly we've had 7 days of cooperative working relationship with the IEC, which we really appreciate. This is a new gambia which we have really been advocating for, and I think the IEC has been living up to that. In the last 7 days, we've been meeting up here, and we've not had any hiccups. Our president even released a statement applauding the commission for their work and applauding the security. Everybody, we worked in unison. However, I must clarify, there is nowhere in the law that I'm aware of. I've read the Electoral Act, and I think it would be good for the official, IEC official, Mr. Khan, to quote the provisions of the law that he is basing some of these requirements for. Let's clarify. In the Electoral Act, Section 49, it states objections to nominations, not access. The journalists and the general public are supposed to have access to this public scrutiny. There is nothing that states that you must bring a voter's card. The voter's card is when you want to object. Let me read the law, and this is where I would appreciate we are very clear to not mislead the public, to give them accurate information. It says in Section 49 of the Electoral Act, objections to nominations. 1. a registered voter may object to a nomination paper on all or any of the following grounds. It lists the ground.
Yeah, very quickly.
For you to object,
Yeah.
you must first what?
Be a voter.
Yes. But now, for you to have access,
Yeah.
that one there is nothing in the law which is
You have
saying
to have access first.
You have to
before
have
you
access.
Can raise an objection.
so an independent or an international observer can come and observe. But what they cannot do is to object because they don't have a voter's card. Now, this is what the law is saying. I'm not a legal mind or a lawyer by any stretch of the imagination, but I think this is very clear English. So I think the IEC have made mistakes in the past. We've seen with the whole interpretation of the attestation.
Okay.
So I don't want to seem like I'm going for the IEC, but I think it would be best for them not to make a similar mistake. Try to get legal advice before they do what they are doing. Then also, there is nothing in the law which states that they should have 5 minutes for a journalist to come here and be given just 5 minutes, or a citizen to be given just 5 minutes. There are not 500 people here. Your cameras can show how many people are here. If all these people can be given 1 hour and they can do their work, you can give 4 or 5 people 1 hour to go in at a time and let them do their work. Then there is nothing in the law also, except they bring it to me, which saying that you cannot record or even take a video or a photograph. I would like them to bring that to me as a law, and I will commit and I will accept. As I've said, I've read the law. I am not a lawyer, but from the little understanding that I have, and I have been very fair to the public by not just quoting the law and not just giving them the provisions. I think we need to be fair to the general public so that they can be able to ascertain the truth. They can be able to go and check in the laws. What does the laws of the Gambia says? And this is what we are using to do our work. I would like them to also show us anywhere in the law it says that you have no right to publish assets of, we've seen in 2001. Yes, President Jammeh.
Declare even geese and coos.
You see, and also who else? Sidia Jata. He's out there.
Yeah, but he said that they can do that with their consent, without their consent. He said the law says they have right to privacy.
They have right to privacy when you become a public official. You're a public officer. So a president or a person who wants to be given our tax
and trust
and control of this nation, control of our public finances, we need to know what you have. If they will have this public scrutiny and we cannot go in there, we cannot see these things, I think certainly let's find another word to describe this other than public scrutiny.
Well, we have a gentleman which we drag into this conversation. First, tell us, introduce yourself, and what is your take on this whole saga here? We have outlined how the media felt disappointed that they could not get access because they were told right here that they too need an extra, accreditation requirement, which is a voter's card, so to speak. And then even if they should get information, they have only 5 minutes to do that, which is inadequate, and they could not even publish it without the consent of the candidates. How do you think?
Thank you, Mr. Cham, for the invitation. And, my name is Sekou Kamara. I am a private citizen who walked in here to participate in our democratic process to uphold my civic duty as a citizen of this country. I will be speaking on my own behalf, but I will also be speaking on behalf of the general public who could not have the opportunity to walk in here like I did today. I will speak on behalf of my parents who could not read or write and rely on individuals myself. They send us to school, the educators, so that when days like today's happen, we can come and represent them and be their voice and be their eyes and their ears and go back and report back to them. Before I even go further, I want to ask a quick question first, because I don't want to be in contempt of the law based on the gentleman's discussions here earlier. As a private citizen who came here and observed and went through a couple of documents, am I allowed to talk about what I've observed publicly, or do I need clearance from the candidates to talk about their application, their assets declarations and whatnot? I don't know if that's a quick yes or no question, because I don't want to be in contempt of the law here.
I would say everybody has the right to comment, freedom of speech.
Okay.
I know these are fundamental requirements under the law, under the constitution, that there is freedom of expression. But also, I know I will have to speak in relation to the electoral process here, especially the scrutiny process. That there are some provisions of the law in black and white. I always reiterate that the commission is not law making but law implementing.
Okay.
And persons who have interest in the process, I think they also expect that to follow the due process of law, which of course requires them, like anybody who want to object or whatever, want to part of public scrutiny, should be a registered voter. Like he has right to be involved or engaged in the process as a voter, as a Gambian, as a stakeholder in the process.
Okay. So
now if you can
please,
he got now, can he disclose it here?
Can I disclose what I just learned or what I observed inside?
Maybe I would I will describe that as part of your freedom of speech.
Okay.
Right?
So in that,
but then, like, what we are trying to, I think we have to make things clear here.
Yes.
But what we are trying to prevent is people claiming to be journalists coming right into the scrutiny hall, taking pictures or doing whatever
right,
of official documents, in contravention to the law. I think we have to make it very clear.
Okay. So
but a private citizen discussing whatever he found out, I think that's, that's...
Okay. So in that case, Lamin Cham, if you allow me to proceed...
Can you give us a broad line of what you found without getting specific?
So
in case we are running against any law. Just tell us exactly what you have found. And
so I want to quickly talk about the, you mentioned the journalists being given access and required extra credentials like a voter's ID.
Which has never been told.
Right. I believe Flex Dan have spoken to length about that. What I would do is I will speak from a public private citizen perspective. What I've observed here, Lamin Cham, unfortunately, for the past 7 days so far has been great. We applaud the IEC for conducting almost a flawless nomination process, and all the citizens of this country are in gratitude and appreciative of the work of the IEC. But what I observed today, I'm talking about just for today, this morning here, Lamin Cham, unfortunately, is the symbolism of democracy. In my opinion, it's a mockery, in fact, of our democratic process. I came here as a private citizen. I'm expected to scrutinize the people who are applying for the highest office in this country, the most important job, in my opinion, in this country. And I'm allowed only 5 minutes to go through what I counted to be 21 candidates applications. 21 candidates. So when I walked in, my first instinct is I want to start from the most important person, in my opinion, in this country. There's the President of the Republic of the Gambia, His Excellency Adam Barrow, and through the NPP, I want to start with his application process. And we have all seen here during the nomination process giant boxes being submitted from the NPP on behalf of the Adam Barrow for his candidacy. So for me to go through even one single file require more than 5 minutes. Let alone get into, so I wanted to get through at the minimum, I wanted to observe the big four, I called them. I wanted to see what His Excellency President Adam Barrow application looks like. I wanted to see what Honorable His Excellency Lawyer Hussein Dabo's application looks like. I wanted to see what Mama Kande, based upon the 2016 election, who is the third largest, I wanted to see his application. And I wanted to see Honorable Halifa Saleh PDY's application. But I could not get to the 3 of those because I was only able to look at one file of His Excellency Adam Barrow, which is very, very disappointing.
Did you even have time to?
I didn't even have time to go through everything I wanted to go through, so that I can go back and report to people like my mother, who could not read or write, who would like to know and curious what are the applicants talking about. Have they met the requirement? Have they fulfilled the requirements of the law? We don't say that we don't trust the IEC. But the IEC have this process put in place because they believe this is the part of our democracy. This is supposed to strengthen our democracy as citizens. And unfortunately, I'm not satisfied with the time allocated to people.
Papa Khan, this man is not a journalist. He's the kind of people you call public can view. He has been there to view. He had only 5 minutes. He couldn't even completely go through the documents of Adam Barrow, and he wants to do the same for Hussein Dabo, for Halifa Saleh, and for Mama Kande. You can't say possibly that you are fair with him?
Very well, he has a right to his opinion, but also one thing I know is that I mentioned just two issues here, the law and then regulations. So we try to enforce the law, and in so doing, I think it's only good that we also make regulations that will make the process, accessible, would make the process, orderly and organized, and that's what we did. Like to give each and every person who wants to go through the files 5 minutes. Okay, maybe this may be small.
Okay.
But then, how would we give people like 1 hour? And you have a group of people, or a lot of people waiting to come and be given
Maybe
the
you
same
expected this place to
opportunity.
be flooded with people, perhaps.
So I think this is the lapse that we have to talk about.
Okay.
That we cannot just give 4 people, one hour each. We're talking about 4 hours here, which is of course law, from 8 o'clock
To 12
a.m. to 12 p.m., 12 noon. So we're talking about 4 hours. So now we give 4 people 1 hour to do that. And how about the multitude number of people who are also qualified and who are also interested, to produce to those documents. So I think here we have to balance the two.
I know, Mr. Kamara, we can argue this over, but what I want to take Mr. Khan to the next point is that over the last few days, political party supporters have been, of course, like you said, branding opinion on the social media. Of course, I know as a respected institution, you don't comment on Facebook opinions, etc. But all what they've been trying to say is, what criteria, I want to know what criteria are you going to use now at 5 o'clock today to announce the successful applicants? Now, it has been said in your earlier communications that you are going to scrutinize these candidates based on the 12 guidelines you have set. And so the understanding is that whoever gets qualified or disqualified here, it is either the person have met all these 12 requirements or have fallen short of meeting 1 or 2 of it. Is that the case?
Absolutely, yes. It's all about going through the legal process, that the laws provided for certain conditions to be met, and all of which, in fact, are to be met. I think these are about 12.
Okay.
12 points, legal requirements, I would say. And each and every candidate is expected to fully meet each of these requirements. Failure which the passing nomination paper would be rejected.
Okay.
This is law, and this is what the commission would be doing.
What I'm trying to say, you don't have any other law outside these 12 you have today to determine who qualifies and who doesn't?
Not at all.
Only these 12?
For now, according to the Elections Act, these 12 criteria have been provided, being qualifications to contest as a candidate for the presidency.
Okay.
That's in a presidential election.
Okay.
So these have been in black and white, and these are law.
Okay.
And the commission is strictly looking out for the compliance or for meeting
for those 12
requirements.
Okay. We've been joined by Kemasang Sane, Kex to everybody. A young political activist. Of course, I have to underline that he's a sympathizer of the People's Democratic Organization for Independence and Socialism, DOI. But then, like, Foraya itself, not even though they are aligned to a party, but they always try to give, an independent and general fair analysis of political matters. And I expect him to do that here. Okay, you've been here, and naturally, of course, everybody expects you will be here if they know you. So far, what have you seen in this public scrutiny, as per the participation of the public, such as Sekou Kamara, and journalists who've been complaining that, well, they have not been told that they require a voter's card just to access the place. They're not going to object, but they just want to access the place and only to be told that they have to have a voter's card. And even if you access it, you've given only 5 minutes. They're wondering, how can you be able to effectively go through 21 or more candidates' documents in just 5 minutes? But first, what has been your impression?
Thank you very much. We start from the whole entire process of the nomination since day one. We have seen political parties came before the IEC, sent all the documents that are required. Some have some sort of documents that are left over, but it's a process, and they can still forward those documents before on the 5th of November, and I'm sure which most of them have done. And today we are here for the public scrutiny, and this doesn't require whether one is a member, but as far as you are a citizen of this country, you have the right to come before the IEC building and scrutinize each and every candidate to examine whether they have meet all the requirements necessary to vie for the office of the president. But laws has been guiding the entire process, and there are legal requirements that what is guiding the whole process. So for me, an opinion or a discretion of the IEC should not be put forward and cite the law, and the law is very clear that it should be open for public scrutiny, and it is saying that from 12 noon to 4 o'clock.
Exactly. No, 8 o'clock too.
No, but
did they say, well, in fact, yes, you are right.
It is saying 12 noon to 4
4
o'clock. They bring it forward to 8 o'clock, but the election act is telling from 12 noon to 4 o'clock. Yeah, and it can be extended to 5 o'clock. So this is very clear, but they make their own discretion, maybe the time, because they want to have a press conference by 5 o'clock. So they bring it forward. But when we are talking about law, opinions and other discretion doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter there.
Yes, and what the law says too is very clear, that if you are to scrutinize, you don't need even a voter's card. All what you need is to come and scrutinize. If you are to object, then that is the time you need
a voter's card.
That's
what the
and you should
flex has been outlining here.
To feel what you are objecting to. But all these things are not happening here, and they are the referees, and they should make sure that public have confidence and trust in the IEC. If they do that, it will make the work easy for everybody, and if the outcome of the results come out, we will all accept it, because we know that the institution or the referee is been fair. But if you start doubting or creating issues, people might think that you are covering. And look at the 5 minutes. I went inside. I wanted to check, because I went through some of the documents. I found that if you look at our voters card serial numbers, it's 21 digits. But I found out that somebody nominated somebody with 9 digits.
Look at that.
So that doesn't happen. That means that that person who nominated this person is not qualified, because the serial number of the ID card doesn't reflect on the realities on the ground, that the ID card should have 21 digits. But if you go there, I see some people only 9 digits. That's also, that's not an invalid voter's card to first nominate somebody. But you have to go through all these things. You have to note them down, because you are not a computer to store all these things. 21 candidates. You go through all those documents before the 5 minutes, before even 3 minutes. They told me that your time is up, because I was timing myself. The time I enter, but they just tell me that your time is up. So I could not go through all these things. And we don't want somebody to just go into the office and occupy the highest office in this country without meeting all the legal requirements. So I think IEC should definitely give room for people to scrutinize each candidate, so that we will know that the right candidate is there that will represent us for the next 5 years. This is about the highest office in the country.
I couldn't agree more. Mr. Khan, you have done a fantastic job from day one. Fantastic job. Even the arrangements here was highly commended. Everyone, candidates or people have been given equal fare, equal treatment. I saw even candidates that I will call who are not even known, you give them the same treatment you give to President Barrow and to Lawyer Dabo and others. Everybody was impressed. But it can't be said for this process today. I mean, there's much to be desired. Kex has outlined what the law says. In fact, I don't need a voter's card. I only need a voter's card when I am objecting. But just to see, I don't need it. How do you reconcile these things?
Yeah, I would say that
discretion by the commission against what the law says. Where should we go? Where should we go by?
I know we have to. The law has to take precedence.
Yes.
Over any other matter or any other issue.
Yeah.
But also, I think it's important that we talking to the public, we deal with the facts, because it's very clear that the public scrutiny, the legal requirement is that it starts from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m.
No, not, well, I think it's 4 hours. Either you started at 12 to 4
if somebody comes and tells the public that it starts from 12 to whatever, 4 o'clock, and it is very much misleading.
It doesn't change the fact that it's 4 hours anyway.
It is not misleading. So, but I think we have to mention the fact that nomination starts, the legal requirement for nomination for scrutiny, that the time, the prescribed time, the legally prescribed time, I would say, starts from 8 a.m. and ends at 12 noon. Of
12 to 4 also is 4 hours.
Other activities that would follow, like includes the period to do an objection, which of course starts from 11 o'clock to 4 p.m. So I think we have to be careful to make sure that we talk to the people, we inform them with the
accurate information. That is 4 hours. But people have been given only 5 minutes within these 4 hours. That's where the issue is. But let's talk about it now. Explore this further. Suppose I have an objection now, and you have now against 5 o'clock only to announce the successful candidate. When are you going to determine my objection, to determine the fate of that candidate? I objected again.
Again, I'm always talking about the law here. We're trying to implement the law to the letter. And that any objection would be directed to the returning officer, who would take a decision on the objection.
On the spot?
As soon as practicable here.
You have 4 hours before you finalize the names.
As soon as practicable.
Yeah.
But again, if the person is still how do you say it, aggrieved, he can further write to the commission.
I see.
Which needs to take a decision within 2 days.
I see.
So I think we have to we have to be clear on these issues.
Okay.
That we're just trying to follow the steps legally required in relation to the public scrutiny and also to the admission process as well.
Okay. Let's go for that. I'm bringing out what the people ask. I told you about, you made that clear, that is whoever is going to be scrutinized by the IEC as per their qualification, it has to be based on those 12 points you talk about. 5 o'clock you will come here to announce those who are successfully nominated to contest the elections. How do you go about it? You said there's going to be a press conference, or all the people have to be here to be told to their face, or what? What do you do?
Yes, we told the media, also
do we need a voter's card for that? Because you said
not at all. This is an engagement with the press.
Wow.
That the commission decided that by 5 o'clock on today, the 6th of November, 21, the returning officer will come out, who is the officer appointed to conduct the election or to supervise the election.
Will come out.
Will come out and give his decisions on the nomination process.
Okay.
That is to say that he would declare the people whose nomination papers have been accepted and those which have been rejected. So in so doing, we thought it's important as part of our public engagement to have a press briefing. In doing that. Of course, the law also requires the commission to publish the names of those people who have been accepted. And again, whether accepted or whether rejected, the commission is also obliged to write to each of those candidates whether their nomination papers have been duly accepted or they have been rejected. And then the grounds of rejection are also to be specified in that publication or in that correspondence.
And they are
so
right to
I think the commission is doing its best to implement or to enforce the electoral law of the Gambia as required by law.
Kamara, your point.
I think one of the things that you probably did not mention regarding that acceptance and let's say termination or rejection of applicants is that people have 2 days to either challenge the candidacy of a particular party or individual, and also or to query why a particular candidate is being terminated or rejected. But also, I think the law went further to state that once those 2 days elapse and a decision is made, that decision cannot be challenged even in a court of law. The IEC decision becomes final in that regard. And that still goes back to us private citizens. If we are supposed to challenge based on facts, if we have to challenge based on their applications and credentials, I could not go through their educational credentials. I could not go through their assets declarations. I could not go through their citizenship, credentials. So there's a lot of things that if I'm supposed to challenge legally, you guys mentioned 12, but when I went through, like I said, I was only able to go through President Barrow's application. And I saw up to about 14 checklists that they checked that he already met the requirement. He already submitted 14 expected or requirements that the IEC required for his candidacy. So is it those 14 requirements that you're talking about here? 12. Or is it 12?
12.
Right.
Maybe Maybe you miscounted.
Actually, it's 14, 1 to 2.14. I counted that myself.
Maybe
so maybe the two extra ones maybe.
We are just volunteering.
Right, I don't know.
Required.
Right, because we all learned during the PDYs when they were submitting their credentials. Honorable Salah made the point that the submission of campaign itinerary is not a law, it's more of ideal for the IEC.
I'm afraid at this point we have to leave Parmakan to go, but before that you need to do a clarification.
Let me just respond. Let me just clarify. I think they are missing some things.
Okay, let's have it.
The legal requirements, I think, they're in black and white, 1 to 12, period.
1 to 12.
Although the commission has administrative tools that it would use. That's, for example, the checklist. That is ABC in, or is that form in, or is, these are administrative procedures.
Thank you.
So I think this should be differentiated from the legal requirements. Like you've mentioned the campaign, itinerary.
Yes.
This, like every candidate is given what is called the guidelines. This will guide the candidate, in processing the nomination papers accordingly and according to law, and making sure that they don't miss any of the documents or any of the procedures. But I don't know, like it seems some candidates didn't even, read through this guideline. So,
well, we don't want to let the cat outside the bag so far until 5 o'clock. But look, we cannot thank you much, than you have. We thank you very much for sparing time to clarify these issues. This is the brunch live on Kerr Fatou. We will continue to talking to various people who have been here, and we will be here up to 5 o'clock. You will hear from the returning officer dealing with all this, announcing those who have qualified right here on Kerr Fatou Live. So don't go away, we'll be here up to 5 o'clock. Mr. Khan, thank you so much. We'll be back shortly.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Ballot coverage. They'll be joined by reputable studio guests to help analyze and break down key ballot issues to meet your needs. As candidates battle for the soul of the Gambia, our team of panelists will get you the information you need to make informed choices. Join our coverage Race for the State House every Thursday at 6 p.m. You decide, we got you covered. Your voice, your ballot with Kerr Fatou.
Is second to none in terms of its transparency, credibility, fairness, and transparency. We are pleading to everybody to observe and respect.
One Gambia, one nation, one people.
Our motto is fair play, integrity, and transparency. Our electoral system is second to none in terms of its transparency, credibility, fairness, and transparency. We are pleading to everybody to observe and respect.
One Gambia, one nation, one people.
Our motto is...
Welcome back to the brunch on Kerr Fatou Live.
December
Special edition coming from Election House. That is the seat of the Independent Electoral Commission. We have been exploring some of the things that happen surrounding this day, the public scrutiny day, as well as the day for the announcement of the fate of the 20 or so candidates, or rather aspirants, who seeks to be candidates in these presidential elections. The announcement will come at 5 o'clock. Meanwhile, we have had things happening here. we had the spokesman of the IEC telling us what their position is on some of the worries and issues brought forward by journalists and, of course, the private citizens. Marinyang, a civic society member, has just joined us. Mara, I think I will start with you, just as I did with everybody. How have been your experience since you come today to the public scrutiny process today?
Thank you, Lamin, and I would like to say hello to my co-panelists. So I also want to make a disclaimer that anything that I speak is not on behalf of Gambia Participate. It's my personal view. So I think my impression, before I come actually look at the law, what the law says about public scrutiny, which I have not. I'm not a lawyer. I have to talk about what I have read and what I have seen. When I was looking at the Elections Act, I did not see a provision on public scrutiny. So if IEC is doing public scrutiny, I think it's a progressive move. Although there still has to be some.
Let's go back at it. In fact, you are saying that you have not seen anywhere where it said there should be public scrutiny.
And I also make clear that I'm not a lawyer. I did not know all the law.
But
I know
anyway, there is commendable if it is there.
Yes, there is provision on objection of nominations in the Elections Act. But even in that provision, it does not actually talk about the process of scrutinizing nominations of candidates. So if it is not there, based on my research, I think it is a progressive move, although there still has to be some improvement in the future going forward to look at our laws and then make sure we come up with recommendations that will govern public scrutiny, and then also how it will be conducted, and then also the time frame that will be given for interested citizens to come and get hold of a particular document of interest, and then also object if they want to. So I think these are still some, maybe recommendations that we have to come up with from either civil society or political parties or those in the government. We need to collectively look at the experience that we have right now. We already have an elections bill, and then the elections bill also does not actually talks about public scrutiny. So this is something that we need to use as a strategic experience and for strategic advocacy to make sure we codify this in our laws of the country. So when it is in the law, it becomes mandatory for the institutions to actually execute.
Okay, what have you observed since you come? I mean, there have been queries and complaints that people have been given far too little time to be able to do anything here. Journalists, of course, they have their own agenda. They've been told that they need to be holding their voters' card to be able even to access it.
Because the law also says for you to be able to do objection, you need to have a registered voters card.
But that's objection.
That's objection. Yeah. But the law also does not say how many times, the law does not actually explain, or should I say be explicit about the number of times that should be given to an individual to do public scrutiny. Yeah. So like I said, things that are being done, I think there should be some room for improvement, but then we need to go back to the drawing board. I think sometimes what we do is we put our one thing before the law.
Okay.
So if we go back and look at what the law says, then we will know what is expected. Okay. Right? We cannot desire more than we can have as part of the regulation that are already there. So these are things that we need to look at, and then go back to the drawing board and then look at these laws. Okay. People are progressing. But our laws are not progressing. And for us to be at par, we need to make sure we get those laws way above our progress level, so that in the coming generations, they will be also enjoy what they saw.
Do you have any concern, as many people are banding around, that disqualification of candidates A or B might lead to, protest or legal wrangling such something? The IEC have just told us here that they are going to use that 12 criteria that they have announced are the requirements to fulfill, requirements to be a candidate. What is your observation, sir?
Well, I actually do not have any concern if a particular candidate meets a requirement and the person is nominated to contest for elections. and vice versa if the person is not qualified. So the law is the law, and we also have to abide by the rule book. Like I said, we want something else, but the law does not give us that one thing. So we need to be law-abiding citizens, and I have to say, we have some gaps in our laws, and we had the opportunity to, fulfill those gaps, and we couldn't have it. And that's the constitution. But it's still not something that we cannot start having this conversation around. We can go back. Whoever wins, I'm not of interest of anyone who wins as an observer and civil society. I am not of interest. I know I'm going to vote, right? Who I'm going to vote for? No one knows. No. It's only me.
Well, you know that.
I know who I'm going to vote for.
Oh, you're still not decided?
I have not yet decided. I have to look at the... I'm still reading manifestos. I'm also still looking at...
You are the kind of voter, really, the most desirable voter, who does not have preconceived mind already. You are still looking for the best candidate. Oh, yeah. Unlike others I know who have already made it.
Because whoever
likes cakes.
Whoever wins, I'm going to be the same person. You do the right thing, we applaud, we bring solutions to the table. Where you go left, we bring you back on the right lane. And if there are some gaps in the public policy, we do what we call public policy advocacy. And then where we also need to do static litigation, we do. So everyone have their chosen candidate. And for me, I'm still, like I said, I also have my checklist in terms of political parties or candidates that will fulfill what I also wanted. So I'm still reading, and let's see. But overall, I think this experience so far from the nomination has been a very exciting one. A very interesting one as well, because I've seen a lot of maturity in the political parties and their supporters. Although not 100% perfect, but there has been some significant improvement in the way the nomination is conducted by the IEC, in the way political parties behave and their supporters. So, it's actually giving us that, sense of peacefulness post-elections. So that is something that I wanted to commend the IEC for, the political parties for, the supporters for, and the media houses for as well. But still room for improvement.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for those. I know you're rushing, but then I still have one more question for you. Mr. Kamara, your overall observation. I want us to talk so that we, as he said, assure the people of what we have seen and what we expect in terms of peaceful conduct of the elections.
Mr. Cham, I have faith in the Gambian people. That faith is not because of what happened this week. It's not because of what happened today. It's because what we have went through for 22 years. For 22 years, citizens of this country have been traumatized, have been oppressed, have been unjustly treated, and they never let this country on fire. Even when they were given reasons to do so, they never did. And 2021 is a year where we believe the Gambian people are relatively free and to make an independent decision based upon issues. Based upon, we believe the Gambian people will make decisions based upon whether they find the state of the country today. They will make decisions based upon their economy. They will make decisions based on their infrastructure. They will make decisions based on our telecommunication services, our energy, water supply. They will make decisions based on health, based on employment for young people and women, and also opportunities when you talk about agriculture and trade and other areas. This is what I believe the Gambian voter will make decisions on. We will have pockets of intimidations, like when you talk about tribal affiliations. We will still encourage our people to say, walk away from those. We are better than those things. We are not children of a lesser God. I have faith in the Gambian people, and I believe Lamin Cham, our citizen, will come out again even better than we did in 2016 as far as peaceful election is concerned.
Kex, do you have any anxieties, any worries as we go into nomination process?
Absolutely no. I'm sure that we will definitely do majority if you compare the last election 2016 At this time, you look at the tension, the insults on the social media compared to this 2021 election. You see that the Gambian people have developed this maturity of trying to look at politics in terms of programs and policies present before them. And you could see all the political parties, others with their 5-point agendas, others with their transformative agendas, others with the other agendas. So people are looking at more of this document that is present before them, and they examine each political party based on the programs and the policies that they have present before the electorate. And you could see almost the campaign period did not emerge from the IEC official campaign, but political parties have toured the country, almost 4 or 5 political parties. But there is no serious crime or tension that has so far been registered or been reported to the police. It's just minor issues that will not be avoided. You see, Tori, that internally they didn't even drag the matter to court, but they sat down internally among themselves through the IPC. That tells you that actually I am not worried about the election, and I'm sure that the Gambian people will do the right thing, because this 2021 election is for us to lay this country on a solid foundation for the future generations to come, because this 2021 election will determine which type of country do we want in the future. Because if we allow any person who is not what we wish to take over this country, the trend will continue. You could see it anywhere, history teaches us to learn from the transition. When Jammeh came in, he came through this process. Just the difference was just a coup d'etat, but it was a transition 1996. Then from there we go into election. But the moment he wins the first election, the trend continues. The percentage keeps on increasing. The percentage keeps on increasing. And this is the time that we have to decide who should take the mantle of our leadership in this country to shape the country in a direction that we can be proud of and call ourselves, we are Gambians, and our children can look into our face and say, "Dad, brother, you have done the good thing," rather than pointing fingers at us that we have failed. And nobody can do that, it's us. And we have to do that in an informed choice. You have to be convinced by the policies and the programs of the party present before you, not to vote based on sentiment, because the moment you do that, you have a sentiment, you have a government that will just be governed by an opinion or by a wish of a party. But if you vote based on a reason, the person must present you a reason, and if he's not fit to do that, then you remove that person there in the next 5 years. So that's why every 5 years we have what we call election. It's just called what we call auditing, that the national audit does to all the public enterprises. You also audit your president by 5 years, whether he have served your interest, and if he fails to do that, you have to remove that government and replace him with another government. And I think that process should be peaceful, and I don't think there should be no tension there, and I'm sure that the laws are very clear, and the IEC is giving all the legal requirements, because it is very clear, even what they are saying, that the 12 point. But if you go and look at the Election Act itself, it's telling you that all candidates must meet the requirements of the Constitution. It is very clear in the Election Act. So whether somebody files or somebody didn't file, the IEC should look at the Electoral Act, they should look at the Constitution and make sure that all candidates meet the requirements of these two laws that governs the country. Because a country without a law is just like a jungle, and we must uphold the Constitution of this country, we must uphold the Election Act of this country to make sure that the right thing is done. And for me, I think whatever is the outcome of whatever will happen, at the end of the day, the Gambian people will know that this is what we want, because every citizen, it is very clear in our Constitution, we must all defend the Constitution of this country, and we want the IEC to be fair to all candidates. And I think I'm quite sure that all candidates that have so far present their nomination, they will be qualified, and we go in for the election and see the majority of the Gambian people, who do they want to steer the affairs of this country for the next 5 years. And that should be done in a peaceful and a very respectful manner, I expect.
Mar, can we afford a chaotic situation? That is, of course, or should we invite one? I said this because I show a lot of commentaries on social media that gets you to be anxious, that are in there an army of lawyers or an army of activists or an army of what I would call them, who run to come and bounce on, oh, Mr. Cham is not qualified, we are going to go to court, or Mr. Cham is not, we are going to whatever you want. So can we afford at this time of the process to derail the election process by engaging in legal battles in court, or how to call it, what do you say, right? Activism or protest, etc., etc.?
Well, politicians will always be politicians. And in a football match, two teams are, flexing their muscles and their skills in order to get the 3 points. and you know, they will do whatever it takes to get that 3 points. And the same thing applies to politicians.
Exactly.
So if they know the strength of their opponent, they would like to weaken that strength.
That's right.
But then there is a regulation and law that governs sports.
Yeah.
There's the same law that governs
Politics.
elections. So if a particular candidate nomination is being objected by either an individual or a political party, and it goes to court, the court looks at the laws that governs election and whether the person that brings in the nomination has the local standard to do it, and then also if there is merit in the objection that he or she presents. But then you have anyone that can also get a legal practitioner to also file what is called amicus curiae, which is the friend of the court, right? To look at best practices. And then the court at the end of the day will have the ultimate decision based on law to determine whether the candidate's nomination should be rejected or not. So no one would like to see his or her player to be given a red card in a football game because it weakens the team. And the same thing for political parties. But anything that has to do with violence, our country is so fragile that we can't afford it. And right now, I'm not seeing any indicator that will lead us to a violent election. So far, we've heard what all the candidates have said, and all of them are willing to accept the results of the elections.
Yeah.
Right? And then that gives us...
At least President Barrow said, and that's very important, because last time we had to, there was a lot of upheaval when the outgoing president, who lost, said he wouldn't go. So President Barrow said he is going to respect the verdict of people. That's an encouragement, isn't it?
The same thing, yeah, with other political
But then other parties should also do.
Yeah, I think they should come out.
Follow
they should come out and then declare that they will respect the verdict of the people.
As President Barrow.
Yes. And so for me, really, I am not concerned. Look, I actually see elections as one of the interesting moments in the country. I actually enjoy electoral process. And I think Gambians do the same thing.
So you enjoy the conspiracies, the skullduggery, sort of the betrayals, as long as it's done peacefully.
I was going to different rallies, be the ruling party and that of the opposition, to first enjoy the ambience, to also listen to what
messages
candidates were saying. Though I was not to that, maybe I'm more perhaps in a better position than I was, perhaps younger in 2016. But I actually love the environment, and Gambians are not, violent people.
Yeah.
If you are mad at the Gambian, the person becomes uncomfortable. So if personal relationship can trigger such, we don't think such will happen. Our security personnel in 2016 could have acted otherwise. Even though some facet of the security apparatus, we are trying to work in, according to the directive of the then brutal monster who was there before. But we've seen other facets of the security personnel that were doing what the law asked them to do. That gives us encouragement. Everyone was in their house, both the supporter of the president, the then monster, and then that of...
Well, you've been in trouble if you continue to call him monster with the APRC supporters.
No, he's an individual. I'm not talking to APRC.
I'm talking about...
I've seen APRC supporters.
I've been into trouble with them whenever I objectify.
Because I've seen APRC supporters becoming progressive in this period.
Exactly.
And that is commendable. We've seen APRC supporters that are pro-Borough, APRC supporters that are cross-carpeting to UDP, to G. So they are independent in what they do. So it's not about the APRC supporters. They are Gambians and they are lovely in the way they do things.
You are encouraged now that they are facing reality, accepting that there were troubles.
Yeah, the monster there was making the best use of them. And now they're getting to know. Right?
But only after the monsters have spoken against them.
But then still you have, the thing is, you know, they are sympathizers of Hitler.
Okay. Yes, that's up to this date.
Up to this date,
Yeah.
right? And there are those that disgust Hitler. So you always find that type of people. So it's not about the AP. I think I don't want to talk about any party, but I think as of now, all the political parties have been so lovely, so mature in the way they do things. I have not, personally, I've not come across any violence during this nomination. One thing that I enjoyed was, and I've seen on social media, how other political parties are giving support to the other political parties.
Absolutely.
Seeing candidates having all...
I saw when the DOI and the UDP convoy met in the province. Nyakoi, he can tell you, I see UDP supporters coming to Mr. Salah, hawking him and, you know.
That shows the majority of the
Honorable
supporters.
Kande also met with them, and like you said, the pictures, when the NPP was nominating, I saw a UDP pick up. I mean, the lifting.
Mr. Cham, I just wanted to add something to what Mr.
Mar
said regarding the political parties and their leaders coming out and announcing that they will accept the results. I just wanted to also be fair to other parties and say that I've listened to their political leaders, especially, like I said, the big four, whether it's Honorable Salah, Kande, and Dabo. They have all said in various interviews with various medias that they, even though they all claim that they believe they will win, they have also said that they will accept the results.
Which makes it easy, because if you believe you will win,
exactly,
you will always say, I'll accept.
Exactly. So everyone said that they will accept the people's will when the announcement is made, either later on December 4th or the 5th. But one thing also that I want to make clear here is that when we're talking about the process of termination, acceptance, and rejection of candidates, I've said it earlier, the IEC give people 2 days to challenge either acceptance or rejection of candidacy of individuals or political parties, be it on a party ticket or an independent candidate, right? But in that regard, if IEC, after those 2 days, made their final decision, that decision cannot be challenged in a court of law in this country. That's something that we have to take into consideration. So that means the only time anyone can do anything is to table it in front of the Supreme Court. And in the Supreme Court, there's no sitting between now and December 4th. So if a candidate is accepted or rejected based on constitutionality, and the law is dependent upon interpretation by the Supreme Court, that is not going to happen until maybe...
the Supreme Court?
Right. So
are there any provisions for them to
there can
hold
be emergencies.
elections? Or?
There can be emergency systems for the Supreme Court. I don't know. I'm not very versed in our judicial system to say.
Well, Marnya went to court with Gambia participated so many matters.
But that's in the Court of Appeal. That is in the appeal court, not in the Supreme Court.
So we went to the Supreme Court, we went to the High Court, also the Court of Appeal.
I mean, is there any provision that if I said, okay, Mr. Cham's candidature, I'm challenging it in court and Supreme Court, how quickly can we get Supreme Court convened to do that before December 4, for example?
Well, like I said again, I'm not a lawyer. I mean, personally, Gambia participate is not going to challenge any...
You are not going to challenge
We are
anybody.
not. We are observing. We are not intervening.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So, perhaps the Supreme Court can do an emergency sitting to look at things based on urgency. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And legal proceedings also takes time.
And
so it all goes back to us making sure that we, look at our procedures, the processes, and that of the laws. Yeah. So that, just like what happened in 2016, when Jammeh rejected the results, and he dismissed most of the Supreme Court judges, and they were not sitting, his case could not be heard.
It couldn't be heard, yes.
So it depends on the Supreme Court or the judiciary had the discretion to decide whether they can do emergency sittings or
they can let things go on. Because we've seen in the case of Malawi, it was not long ago, I mean, there was an election, somebody was declared winner, and then there were supporters, and later on the Supreme Court said, well, whatever was it, the Supreme Court or Constitutional Court said, no, the election should be rerun. When already the winner had thought that he won, another term. But anyway.
Yeah, for me, I think if IEC definitely follow what are the requirements, you don't even need to go to the court, even going to the court, because the law is very clear that one must meet all the requirements of the election, at the same time the constitutional provision. What does the constitution say that qualify ones to be a presidential candidate, and what does the election
issue now is the IEC So what they are, the 12 points they are get on, I haven't seen anything that deal with. Well, they believe they said the electoral law comes from the constitution anyway.
Yes.
But their barometer is that's 12 points.
Yes.
So we were debating as if I want to raise an issue that's beyond these 12 points, what do? I have to go to court.
But there you go.
And
But if you look at, if you go, I think it's under section 49 or 50 something, it says that all candidate IEC, the election act, all candidates must meet the constitutional requirement. That means whatever the constitution said that qualifies somebody to be a presidential candidate must be met. That is under the preview of the IEC.
So why was it not put in the 12?
This is the issue. So one has to raise that. Why it's not
So,
put
Mr. Sani, you must also accept that, right? When you talk about law, a law can be put in the Constitution, and if that law has never been challenged for interpretation by the Supreme Court, no one will know the legality of that law. So just because a law is in our Constitution doesn't mean that it's legal. That's because no one has never challenged it, and this could be a force for that.
Let's see whether it will be challenged. But I think there must be. If something
for the sake of the country, we all pray and hope that IEC get it right.
Get it right. That's the most important we all want.
Well, that's the issue. I mean, the IEC made it clear that their decision later today will be based on whether candidate A or B fulfill these 12 requirements.
That is true.
All right, gentlemen. Mar Nyang, I always say a man with two surnames, no name. Thank you very much from Gambia participate. Well, he said it's on his individual capacity now. Sekou Kamara, our brother from the diaspora, I guess.
Yes.
From the United States. The way you speak, I know. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Oh, Kevin Sane, of course, political activist. I wouldn't say doy because when I say that, I will be pricked into bias. He is very independent, even though he's doy. And to you all watching us, wherever you are, please stay with Kerr Fatou because at 5 o'clock dot, the announcement will come from this door as to which of the candidates have crossed the Rubicon, so to speak, to contest the December elections. I'm Lamin Cham. Hope to see you back in a moment. Thank you. Goodbye for now.
Fair play, integrity, and transparency. Our electoral system is second to none in terms of its transparency, credibility, fairness, and transparency. We are pleading to everybody to observe and respect.
One Gambia, one nation, one people.
Our motto is fair play, integrity, and transparency. Our electoral system is second to none in terms of its transparency, credibility, fairness, and transparency. We are pleading to everybody to observe and respect.
One Gambia, one nation, one people.
The Gambia's most crucial elections is here. At Kerr Fatou, we got you covered. Our team of credible and knowledgeable analysts will bring you exclusive analysis of the event step by step and ballot by ballot coverage. They'll be joined by reputable studio guests to help analyze and break down key ballot issues to meet your needs. As candidates battle for the soul of the Gambia, our team of panelists will get you the information you need to make informed choices. Join our coverage Race for the State House every Thursday at 6 p.m. You decide, we got you covered. Your voice, your ballot with Kerr Fatou. December 2021, one of the Gambia's most crucial elections is here. At Kerr Fatou, we got you covered. Our team of credible and knowledgeable analysts will bring you exclusive analysis.
Planning to have an uninterrupted electricity and water supply from solar energy in the Gambia and beyond? Worry no more, because Solar Enterprise will provide you with the solutions at reasonable cost. We have experienced personnel who can install and advise you about your electricity and water supply with a warranty period. We have good quality solar products from North America and Europe. We provide services and sell products to individuals, organizations, institutions, private offices, communities, and government. These products are solar panels, batteries, charge controllers, inverters, water pump, water heaters, freezers, submersible pumps, and general solar accessories. Visit our stores at 48 Kairaba Avenue and Brusubi Highway, or you can call us on 7657 479 980-8483, 340-9400 or 635-9906.
Are you thinking of owning your dream homes? EJ Investment is here for you. Secure our quality bungalows with 2, 3 or 4 bedrooms, or our story buildings 3 or 4 to 5 bedrooms at very affordable prices with flexible payment plans at our Sanyang Seaview Estate, where you can enjoy the cool breeze with modern infrastructure such as tar roads, covered drainage system, modern electrification with street lights, gated entrance with security posts, and social amenities such as gas station, shopping mall, medical clinic, park, schools, children daycare, and a lot more. Our dedicated team of professionals will keep the estate clean at all times, provide security and patrol team within the estate premises, install latest technologies such as CCTV, Wi-Fi, home network installation, solar panel, and power backup system. Also, check out for our additional home facilities and interior design service such as premium tiling, wall plaster, home landscape, fingerprint home lock, and a lot more. Visit our office at Senegambia Kololi Highway and get a free site visit tour, or contact us on 4464838. WhatsApp us on 3259220. Or you can visit our Facebook page or Instagram on EJ Investments. EJ Investments, we are first in properties.
Islamic microfinance is becoming an increasingly popular mechanism for poverty alleviation, especially for developing countries around the world. This microfinance service adheres to the principles of Islam as a form of social responsibility. Yona Islamic Microfinance is the Islamic microfinance of choice in the Gambia, trustworthy and reliable. At Yona Islamic Microfinance, we provide savings products, current accounts, financing products in conformity with Islam. In addition, Yona Islamic Microfinance also offers local and international remittances, takaful fund, management of zakat, management of awqaf, trading and investment, and building of strategic partnerships to bring financial services to the doorstep of the poor with donor projects, madrasas, youth organizations, women groups, and farmer organizations. Make a choice with Yona Islamic Microfinance today. For more information on Yona Islamic Microfinance, call 377-2151 or 9832-151, or visit Yona head office at Tipa Garage, Bakote, or visit any Yona branch located countrywide near you.